Hello, welcome, good evening, everyone, good afternoon, and good morning, depending where you are. First of all, we apologize for the late start. We have scheduled ourselves before half an hour, or to be exact, 35 minutes ago, but we had some technical problem now, which we managed to correct it. So that's a good thing. We are here. Apologies for that. So welcome and thank you for being here. We have and welcome Kwame.
Thank you very much, Malet. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Loud and clear. Yes, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank our viewers who are watching us from across the African continent and across the world. Definitely. We want to appreciate you for supporting Connect Africa, continuously as we bring this understanding, like we said, of what is going on around the world and how it affects our continent. We've been a couple of, times speaking about the Africa Summit, the U.S. Africa Summit, and how it has been progressing. We analyzed for you why it is happening and what we should expect from it, and then we have brought you updates on it. And so now we have started bringing you the results, looking at the fact that the U.S. Africa Summit has now just closed today. This is the third day, which was the last day for it. And tomorrow, the African leaders will start returning to the continent. The last press conference was done by Senator, not a senator, a Secretary of State, Blinken, who's like the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the United States. And so we want to look at certain events that happened there before we bring the whole general overview of the U.S. Africa Summit. We want to point out certain events that happened with certain individuals, which are unavoidable, unfortunately or fortunately, with what happened. So, Malet, please, can you take it from there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for jointly welcoming the family here and then giving us a bit of the background. I hear my echo. A background for us on what we have been doing and possibly what we are going to do right now. Yeah, as my brother Kwame said, we have been bringing to you or trying to shed some light about this U.S. Africa Summit, prior the summit, and then during the summit, what it means for Africa, to whose benefit it is. And then we tried to give you an update last Tuesday, some of the major events during the summit, like the trade deal between U.S. and the Democratic Republic of Congo and then Zambia. So today we are here. Before I talk about or I proceed to the question, let me, highlight some of the points from what we have discussed before. As we said, this summit is essentially for the benefit of the U.S. This is mainly to gain back, because U.S. is literally losing the continent because it refused to see Africa as an equal partner. So they are trying to get that continent because their existence is based on our failure, meaning from the things that they extract from us, they loot from us, so they cannot lose the continent. So they want to cope up with everyone, Russia, China, Turkey, India, namely, everyone wants to get a piece of the continent. So that's one. Secondly, to get also the voting power of their campaign against Russia, and then to get their trade deal, as Kwame last time, explained for us extensively, the fourth industrial revolution and this electric car, and they need their resources, so they have to get those resources from the countries which they have, DRC and Zambia and others. So that's why we have discussed DRC last time. Today, another event that's going on is during the summit. They have a number of bilateral meetings with Ethiopia, Senegal, Guinea, Ghana, and I think Nigeria and Somalia. I think I said all of them. They held a bilateral meeting, but our today's specific discussion will focus on the bilateral meeting with Ghana. So with regards to one of the other things that the summit is going to gain back from this summit by summoning our leaders is to get back the voting power, because Africa has 55 seats in the UN. So that's a major voting power, which I don't think our leaders realize that. So they need that for they have failed the bill that they prepared against Russia. Now they're trying still to get it. Speaking of that, it seems that one African country from West Africa possibly or seemingly inviting officially the U.S. to confront Russia in West Africa from, to its territory, and possibly confronting Russia in West Africa. So if and this country particularly have been, if you have noticed, very vocal, alike I can say majority of the African states, by calling Russia as an invader against the Russia-Ukraine war, while most of the African countries have been silent or boldly saying no during the different bills that has been prepared against Russia. So that is Ghana. We will display before we go to the question. I will kick the first question to Kwame, but I want us to listen / watch this 2 minutes video of the bilateral meeting. And then we get back to you. Kwame, can you please play it? You're muted. Did I mute you?
Please, I've already shared the video. Just let it in.
All right. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
To the meeting, and you were part of the meeting, and its significance for us. And I think that beyond everything, that is a matter that I want to touch upon. Today, Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. Apart from not accepting the idea of great powers once again making Africa the theater of operation, we have a particular position that you know about over the Ukraine war, where we have been very, very vocal and upfront about condemning the invasion of Russia by Russia. And therefore, they're now to have this group in our borders is a matter of some considerable disquiet and concern for us. We really like to have a privileged opportunity to talk about its implications and what we believe ought to be the case. This is what took place with the discussion in the Congress yesterday, which I found very fruitful. And I would like the themes of that discussion should be the things that we should continue to address. To what extent we can have you as a partner in confronting these threats. Remains a democratic space. It's the reason for the actions we took over the coup d'etats in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea. And Ecowas has been very consistent in refusing to deal with these governments because of the undemocratic.
Yeah. Can you hear me? No, you are muted, Mallet.
All right. Okay. So just in case, if you haven't heard it clearly, here is, yeah, this is what it says. It's officially inviting so the continent and the U.S. to what extent, as you heard the last statement, to what extent will are you going to be our partner to confront these threats? Now, my question to you, Kwame, is that, so we saw the president Akufo-Addo concern expressed to Foreign Secretary Blinken during this bilateral meeting. Is there a threat really, as the president enthusiastically stated it? And if yes, how does this affect? Ghana has its own national defense force. The legal responsibility for the protection of Ghana and its people. So how does, I think it's called the Ghana Armed Force, how does it affect it? Does this mean that the Ghana Armed Force cannot protect the country? Or is this why we see that the president is asking the U.S. or inviting to its territory to confront Russia?
Thank you very much, Mallet, for that question. And thank you for, first of all, organizing this program at short notice, definitely. Like we have mentioned in the past, this is the only program right now that is, this is the only channel where you know, as an African and people of African descent, you'll get a chance to, to hear people that are, having discussions, intellectual discussions about these important aspects that affect our continent. Because in the past, our narrative, has been kept in the back. But today, we have an opportunity that the technology, or you can call it nature, has democratized the technology space and the information space. Now it is no more big corporations like CNN or BBC which control the narrative. You see that when you go to YouTube, you can find that people have more followers, individuals who are putting out news out there, have more followers, 6 million, 10 million, even some people have 10 million. And so it's important that we support a channel like this in the work which it is doing. It is very, very important so that we can also be encouraged to fight for our continent, to fight and put out our own narratives as Africans, and to show even the world also that the black man can manage his own affairs, like what Nkrumah said, or he can defend himself. The black man can come out there and defend himself because there is a lot of people who are peddling for a false narrative, not only from the imperialist countries, but also even internally within our continent, within ourselves, within the African community. You find that we have certain leaders who are working against the interests of the African people for their own personal selfish, interests. With that being said, let me just allow me, Mallet, to give a little bit of background on this situation. We've had President Akufo-Addo. I hope the video played all the way to the end. Were you able to watch it, all of it, up to the end?
Yes.
Okay.
The one
Okay.
that's
So
shared on Twitter, which is
yes,
usually, yeah, 2 minutes.
yes. So we had President Akufo-Addo mention the concerns of the concern of the Wagner Group, and according to him, he singled out Russia as the biggest, threat to his country, and especially in the northern part of Ghana, where he claimed that Burkina Faso has invited the Wagner group. But it is important to put this situation in context, actually, to say that what is the threat really that President Akufo-Addo is talking about, and also to look at his history as an individual, as a president, as a leader when he came to the presidency in Ghana, when he won the presidency, the seat of the presidency in the country. What was his outlook as a leader on the African continent, and how has he performed also, when it comes to the economy in Ghana? Are there a lot of other things which are at play in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the questions as a person you want to ask yourself. How consistent has President Akufo-Addo been in defending the interests of the African people, whether it is on the continent? And then also, what is the position of the African Union on this matter regarding Russia and how the United States is contesting? We have seen in our analysis in the past that it is clear, even this has been mentioned on all, even mainstream medias like Al Jazeera and all the others, that there is a contest by the United States. Even ourselves, we have made these analyses, many, numerous times. If you check Connect Africa, you check all the videos that we have published, we have made it very clear that the U.S. is contesting with Russia and China on the African continent, and the purpose for that contest is the resources of the African continent. Now, that brings us to this brings us to what happened in Libya, which we pointed out in the past, that rebels, or the so-called terrorists and the jihadists, which are being mentioned and are being peddled, they came to Africa after the overthrow of the government in Libya, of the government of President Muammar Gaddafi, which used to protect the majority of the Sahel and seal off any instability that is likely to come from the Middle East, Iraq, and Syria. And these rebels, have been, these jihadists, the so-called ISIS, have been coming to the Sahel, and they are coming from the Middle East, and all these are areas which the United States has destabilized. The United States and its, colonial, partners, France, Britain, they have been going around bombing, countries. Now, countries like Mali, they saw that there's a lot of instability, even though the United Nations, Germany, France, Britain, all of them, they were in Mali claiming that they are protecting the people in Mali. And the civilians, the African people in Mali, protested against the president. They protested because of the insecurity and the poverty, even though we had the United States, France, Britain, Germany, all of them, they were in Mali. And there was so much insecurity. France alone killed more than 4,000 people in Mali, more than 4,000 civilians, claiming that they are fighting jihadists. And instead, what the people realized, these people are the ones who are the cause of the insecurity in the country. And the people protested against a president who was supported by France. And so we saw what happened there, that the military responded to the interest of the people. And that is what we have there today. And this scenario has gone on to continue all the way to Guinea, even Burkina Faso. But like I said, we need to put everything in context. We need to look at the situation comprehensively, not just to sing out and say a coup. A coup has happened, a coup is bad. Because some leaders on this African continent have used democracy, to misgovern the people. They have used the democracy to, to mismanage economies and then hide behind that. You see? And they claim that democracy is the only way for us to govern ourselves. And they hide behind this to steal from the African people, to misgovern the African people. And when the African people have no choice, have nothing, left for them to do, they have no choice and way out for them to fight against this. And these leaders have been conniving actually with these imperialistic powers. And like what we are seeing, President Akufo-Addo, the behavior he's exhibiting. When the African people rise up to take back what belongs to them, then they claim that people are causing coup, foreign forces are interfering. When we go to Burkina Faso in particular, which we are zeroing in, because this is the country at which Akufo-Addo has also zeroed in and started claiming that Russia is in this country. Russia offered its help through the so-called mercenary group. But before Russia offering what he is calling mercenaries, we have the United States military base in Ghana. The United States came to Ghana at the invitation of Akufo-Addo and the former president of Ghana, who's Mahama, who's called Mahama. So John Mahama. Now, Burkina Faso never came out to say that Akufo-Addo has brought mercenaries. So I do not understand how Akufo-Addo, turns around to look at Burkina Faso and what it is doing as a sovereign state and claim that these people are a threat. If Burkina Faso did not claim when he invited his American mercenaries, to claim that they are protecting Ghana, who have his, agreements with the American mercenaries, which he has in his country, the Burkina Faso did not complain. I wonder what and where Akufo-Addo gets the audacity to claim that the other mercenaries are dangerous to his country. So that raises a question there. But on the back of that also, we saw that we are seeing also that there is some hypocrisy hidden behind Akufo-Addo's claim. Absolute hypocrisy. He has been mismanaging the economy in the country, and a lot of people are regretting for having elected him as president, even those who belong to his party. And so he is using this as an excuse. Now, he has got a loan from the IMF, the same person who has been claiming at this very summit that the African people should stop begging. He's the one who's begging for loans, and he signed the loans. At the same time, he's begging these people that they should come and protect him, but he's talking about that we should not beg. So this is a person who has no side, even though at the beginning, when he was coming as president, he came as a leader who the African people were having a lot of hope in when he started talking about Africa beyond aid, Ghana beyond aid. We need to work hard. The African people had a lot of hope in him. As you saw that most of his videos, they used to go viral. And all of us had a lot of hope in him. But it turned out that this was not his agenda. He was rather using cheap talk. You see, he wanted to gain cheap popularity, even to a certain extent that he used to be a very popular president, the most popular president on the African continent. But what we are turning out to see, that this is almost a wolf in sheep's skin. It's someone who was putting on a sheep's skin when inside is a wolf, which is coming to destabilize or devour the interests and destroy the interests of the African people. and the African continent. Akufo-Addo, I think, did not start, this behavior did not actually start today. We are seeing that at the 77th, he started exhibiting this behavior actually a long time ago. At the 77th ordinary session of the African Union, not the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, we saw that he came out blatantly, as he mentioned it even in this video, that he has a track record of supporting the Ukraine cause. But the African Union, actually the chairman of the African Union, who's the current president, Macky Sall, and even the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki, had actually mentioned that Africa wants to be neutral, in this situation, and we don't want to be pulled in the great, the power politics, of the great powers, the global powers, what they are fighting. We don't want Africa to be pulled in this. They made this very clear. Akufo-Addo came to give his speech to contradict the position of the African Union, to contradict the official position of the African Union. This was the official position of all of us as Africans. And the chairperson of the African Union had stated that we want to stay neutral. We want to deal with everyone. Akufo-Addo, and this is the same thing that even at this summit, that the chairperson of the African Union, has said, President Macky Sall, that we want to be neutral. A person like Akufo-Addo comes out in broad daylight and breaks, the position, tries to separate himself as if he doesn't belong to the African continent. And let me remind you, in 1961, Ghana. So I would not like actually to tie this President Akufo-Addo on the country Ghana as a nation, and claim that it is Ghana which is doing this, because he has been doing a lot of mess up in the economy. He has been, people are very tired of him, at home. He has destroyed the economy. He's just messing up everything, and people are really tired of him. Now, when you look at Ghana, Ghana is a great country. Ghanaians are great people who have contributed immensely, as you have known. You have known historically, the Ghanaian people are pioneers when it comes to Pan-Africanism. In 1961, President Kwame Nkrumah, together with Jawahar Nehru of India, Sukarno of Indonesia, and Abdul Gamal Nasser, these were people who were instrumental in forming the non-aligned movement of that period of the 1960s. What was the purpose of this? The purpose of this was to keep, so this was Ghana that time in 1961. The purpose of this was to keep Africa out of the great power politics, the contest which was that time between the Soviet Union and the United States. Because we have had this before. We have had this before. So the purpose of that non-aligned movement was for us to say, we are going to deal with everyone. We are open to business with everyone. We will not take sides with anyone. And Ghana was a founding member of the non-aligned movement in 1961. And here is a person, who wants cheap politics because he wants to take cheap loans and then, save himself because of the mismanagement that he has done at home, and tarnish the good name of Ghana as a founding member, of Pan-Africanism, as a pioneer of Pan-Africanism, and taint the name of the Ghanaian people for his own selfish interests. So this is what we, for me, this is, in a nutshell, in summary, this is what we are seeing, the behavior of this individual, that he's trying to break even from the position, the official position of the African Union, the official position of all of us Africans, which we have agreed that we want to solve our own, issues. We are Africans, and we have said, like what we have seen, that the African Union led the issue of Ethiopia, the destabilization which was happening in northern Ethiopia. And we say we want to have African solutions to African problems.
Yeah.
And when you see an individual like this go out there to beg the colonialists, who are the ones who brought these problems? Because when you are talking about the jihadists, and they came to the continent. Russia is not the problem. Burkina Faso is trying to stop the jihadists, from disturbing its country. And why? Because France, as United States, ally France, has failed. It has failed, and people have been killed. The poverty is killing the people. They have failed, and people have been killed in Burkina Faso. So they are trying. The Burkinabe people are trying to find their own solutions. And here we have an individual who is behaving in what Dr. Claude Anderson called inappropriate behavior of African leaders, inappropriate behavior of Black people, that they leave the interests of their own people to take for care of their own personal interests. So it becomes very, very unfortunate. So I had to give you and our audience a background so that briefly we can understand, Akufo-Addo's behavior and where this is coming from. The Wagner Group is there to help, just like how the United States military was invited, in Accra, where it has a military base, at the Accra, at the Kotoka International Airport, which is the main international airport in Ghana, located in Accra. That is how it is, the same situation. So the audacity which Akufo-Addo has, that is hypocritical, I don't know, I think he's learning it from these hypocrites that have been bombing his masters, the neo-colonialists, who have been bombing Iraq, but at the same time, they are talking about human rights when they are killing millions of people. So he has a military base, and Burkina is not complaining. Togo is not complaining. Cote d'Ivoire is not complaining. He has a military base of the American mercenaries, but he is complaining. Why does Burkina? So it shows you, that he has this neo-colonial mentality, and then I think he's a weak leader. He's a very weak leader from my position. Please, can you repeat that question which you asked? So I wanted to give an overview of this situation.
I think you have kind of touched everything, like what does this threat meaning, which he expressed really enthusiastically. It seems that the gun is at his head, and then what it means also to the Ghanaian armed force, which is responsible actually to protect the country and the people of Ghana. Is it really not responsible, or like it cannot protect Ghana, that he's asking officially the United States? Maybe that part regarding
So actually what it means here, even what we are seeing, is that you are destroying. This is disrespectful not only to the African Union. So because so this shows you that the leaders we have, they are the ones who have been destroying the African Union. You see, because we have been blaming the African Union. And you see, it is individuals like this who have been destroying the work of the African Union. The African Union has taken a position. It has already taken a position to protect the interests of the African people, and said we want to keep Africa and the African people out of this struggle. And we have started solving the problems. And now we have a new narrative. We are talking about African solutions to African problems. And here comes an individual with his own personal interests, and he's destroying the work of the African Union, which it is doing. And I think this is what people have to understand. Now, on top of that, he's destroying even the Ecowas itself.
Yeah.
You see, Ecowas as an organization, these are members of ECOWAS. Guinea, however much imperfect they are, Guinea, Conakry is a member of ECOWAS. Mali is a member of ECOWAS. Okay, Burkina Faso is an official member of ECOWAS. So they have to be respected in how they are conducting their business and their choices. Because when they were suffering, I was listening to, to the current, interim president of Burkina Faso. I was listening to him today, and he was talking and he was saying that we have suffered. Our people are suffering of poverty. Our people are suffering with the insecurity, and no one cares. So let us ask, where was Akufo-Addo when these people are suffering with the insecurity? And they have come out to solve their own problem. Where was he when the people in Mali were suffering with insecurity and 4,000 people were being killed by the French, who are there claiming that they are keeping peace? And when people rise up to find their own solutions, and then we have someone in a hypocritical manner come to talk about democracy. You see, there is something which Martin Luther King Jr. said, the leader of the civil rights movement. He said that when you are talking about peace, peace doesn't only mean the presence of tranquility. Okay, you know that you can talk about peace, but still people have violence in their stomach. There's violence in people's pockets. There's no peace. That does not mean peace. So this means you are talking about negative peace, because there is positive and there is negative peace. So there is only positive peace if people have eaten well, people can go to hospitals well, people can send their children to school, people are secure. That is the positive peace. But if you are talking about peace and you are telling us, you are reporting us to your Americans, you have decided to be a puppet and you are reporting your brothers, you have not given them solutions. You have not struggled to give them solutions to their problems. And you are reporting them, to these imperialists so that they can come and destroy them and bomb them. This behavior. So I don't know whether he wants Burkina Faso to be like Libya, and which would be worse actually. This would be a worse situation for Ghana even itself, because now you would have what you would have if these Americans went there to start bombing. You would have huge immigration of people, and he's not forward looking. Instead of working with Burkina Faso, working with his African brothers to solve the problems. These problems, we can solve them by ourselves as Africans. We have seen what has been done in Ethiopia. We have seen what the African Union and the East African Community is doing in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Even though the United States is inserting itself in, but we know it has not contributed to. It did not contribute to the solutions that came, from South Africa. It did not contribute. It was instead sabotaging. And it's the same situation that the East African Community is trying to solve the problem in the Congo. And the United States has been instrumental in keeping that problem in the Democratic Republic of Congo since the 1960s. Even though they are blaming Kagame, we have done this analysis also. They have been Britain, Belgium, Europe, and now if you should add South Korea and Japan, all these ones who are extracting resources. They have been instrumental in causing the chaos. There are over 200 rebel groups. These groups started in the 1960s, even before the formation and consolidation of Rwanda as a state. So the East African Community is there to try to solve that problem. And the United States is claiming, that it is contributing. It is not contributing. It is not the one who initiated this. So he's just claiming, he wants to claim credit that he's doing some job. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say that we have been saying that we as Africans, we want to solve our problems. And we have started seeing that when we take matters in our own hands, we are able to solve our problems. And we have seen the examples, like we said, in Ethiopia, the situation has been, calmed down. Peace has returned to the region. The African Union and East African Community have moved their, attention now to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and things are being handled. So I do not see why Akufo-Addo should go to the United States to try to weaken our resolve, to try to weaken our narrative or African solutions to African problems, because we want to push these foreigners outside of our continent, and instead you are inviting them further and further so that they can continue to cause incursion in our continent. So that this is, from what I see, this is what it means, is that he has interest in weakening our narrative as Africans, the narrative of African solutions to African problems, weakening the African Union, weakening the ECOWAS itself and destroying it. He has interest in that. And it doesn't also reflect very well on the institutions, in Ghana as a country, because that means you are saying that the Ghana armed forces cannot protect the country. So you want to bring 1,000 Americans. They are the ones, it doesn't really reflect very well. It's a disrespect, to the Ghana armed forces.
Yeah. Definitely.
This is the army, like we have seen in Ethiopia. The Ethiopia Defense Forces is the one responsible for protecting the country. And it took on that responsibility. Abe did not jump out and say, I want the Americans to come and remove the rebels for me. No. He worked with these African counterparts. And this is the attitude which we want to see on the continent. But at the same time, this is the person who is talking on big platforms and saying that African solutions, he's talking about we should stop borrowing. But he's the same person, who's begging the most.
Yeah, so we're coming to that, Kwame. Yeah, so conclude it. It's fine. Conclude it.
Yes. Yeah, I've concluded, Mallet. That is what I wanted to say. So that is what I see, that I think this is what he this is what it means. This is the expression, what he did. This is the implication of what he did and what he said during this summit, that he's trying to weaken us as Africans.
Yeah, definitely. Just to remind you, to strengthen your points, or rather, to give the highlights of what you have said. It's definitely weakening the African Union and the regional institution like ECOWAS. I have this thing in mind, that this comment, I think we have played the video, but I really want to read it once again to you, because I just couldn't believe what kind of entitlement he has, to say what he said in that bilateral meeting. Just a second. I'm going to read it loud. So it says, today Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. And then he goes, towards the end. And I would like to the themes of that, meaning they have a discussion on security, the U.S. And the African leaders. So now he's adding the themes of that discussion should be the themes that we should continue to address. To what extent we can have you, meaning the United States, as a partner in confronting these threats, meaning what he called quote unquote the mercenaries in Burkina.
So you see that what it means there.
Reckless comment by all standard, very low for his position, very low to whom the comment has been made, meaning to the U.S. Are those your masters? What are you trying to do? And then very low, as you really extensively have said it, how he's weakening, insulting his own institutions, the Ghanaian armed force, and then the ECOWAS, and then the African Union, who has been battling the past 2 years on the case of Ethiopia to stick to that principal position of African solution to African problems. And last but not really least, you have mentioned it, what, in history, a sad moment for Ghana and at large, actually, for Africa, for a country that has a leader, a Pan-African leader like Kwame Nkrumah, and who has been advocating for non-alliance for Ghana and then the African states to see, this position by a Ghanaian leader. Now, in all this, the Burkina government officials have been dragged into, and then actually they have summoned the Ghanaian ambassador in Ouagadougou, and then recall even their ambassador from Accra. So look what he has caused. Actually, the things were peaceful, but look what that comments or that meeting has caused. Before we go to ECOWAS, maybe this tension, if you can just quickly reflect, and then we have another extensive discussion which will be on ECOWAS and AFRICOM. Yeah, back to you, Kwame.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Malet. The consequences, they will go. I think they will go further than that. They will go further than that, because now you have. He mentioned Mali too. Remember, Mali has not also responded. Mali is likely to respond, and Russia also is likely to respond, because that is a very strong accusation, a very, very strong accusation. In the past, starting when the war, Ukraine, the war between Russia and Ukraine was starting. He came out. Actually, they have been at each other's throat with Russia for some time. He was claiming, when people were starting to complain in the country about the poor economy, Akufo-Addo was claiming that is the Russia and Ukraine war, and the Russian embassy and the government came out to debunk that lie which was spreading. Okay, he was spreading it, and the Russia embassy came out to give him analysis of the Ghanaian economy and told him that the problems of the Ghanaian economy, they started even before COVID. You see, they started in 2020 before the Russian-Ukraine war. So don't say that it's the Russia-Ukraine war, please. You need to get your facts straight. So it has been repeated about twice. About twice he claimed he wanted to push his mismanagement of the economy on Russia. And now, actually, to confirm this, even during the negotiation process, I suspect that this is a concession, because to make this pronouncement and record it and put it out there, I suspect that the Americans are twisting his arm. They are using him, because when Russia mentioned that it is not us who caused the problems of the Ghanaian economy, even the IMF, when Ghana started negotiating the IMF on the loans, the IMF came out to tell the government, you see, that it is not the COVID. There is some mismanagement in the economy. It is not the COVID that caused your problems as an economy. The problems in the economy started before the COVID. So now they are playing him. You see, now because they are playing him. They decided to give him the money, the loan of $3 billion, and now he has to come out and say this publicly in support of them. So this is what I'm saying, but it is going to be consequential, because now you are alienating your brothers, your own brothers, Burkina Faso on your border. You are alienating your brothers, Mali. You are alienating, you are breaking up, you are trying to destroy our African Union. You are trying to alienate yourself from our African brothers. South Africa has stood up strong. South Africa has stood up strong, as and claimed the position we have to be non-aligned in this situation, even to the extent that South Africa has allowed even Russian ships or Russian rich people to come and dock at the Russian, at the South African coast and enjoy their holidays. So majority of the African countries have stood out of this, and they say we have to protect our continent. And here we have an individual who is very incompetent to try to destroy the African narrative. And we are trying to rebuild ourselves as Africans. We are trying to rebuild our confidence as a people and say we can do these things. We can do, there's nothing that a white man can do that we cannot do. And here is a man who's trying to destroy that narrative, to try to show that he wants to be a subordinate to these people, that they should come and help him. These people who are having huge problems because of also mismanagement within their economies, people on the streets. We have mentioned numerous homelessness in, in California, Los Angeles, problems of economies in Europe. These people have their problems already. And we have to come together as Africans and learn these lessons and look at the world, how it is moving. The structures of power are shifting. And I think we have to appreciate that and start, focusing on ourselves as Africans. As he himself, Akufo-Addo, said, that we have to stop begging. So he has to practice what he's preaching. He has to practice what he is preaching. So that is that is the only I think I can say, going forward. And we have to hold him accountable. We should not allow him to go around as an hypocrite.
Thank you, Kwame, for that. Now, he's talking about, protecting the region. So by implication, he's officially requesting the United States to protect the region, meaning namely ECOWAS. Now, as per my understanding or reading, that the current chair of ECOWAS is President Sissoko Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, who actually took over from Ghana in July. Neither Ghana is a host of ECOWAS. So what kind of entitlement does he have to talk on behalf of the whole region, inviting the United States? And, U.S. has already a relation, this military relation, with 53 countries of the continent. The two are because they don't have any official diplomatic exchange with the U.S., which is Eritrea and the Western Sahara, I believe. But of course, the African base is it's not in the entire 53 states. But what more does he want? I mean, he has military relation, obviously. What more does he want? The double standard, you talked about it. Of course, Ghana has a foreign military relation, and then now to invite, to confront another foreign military, is it the way to do it, by inviting to confront what he calls Russian mercenaries, by inviting another foreign military? Is it the way to do it? And tell us, in general, the implication, not only to Ghana, but this time for the region, what this means, the entitlement he has to speak so on behalf of ECOWAS, and then what will be its implication to ECOWAS of his statements.
Yeah, definitely huge implications. So you see that he may have not a thought. I think he did not actually think this thing through very well. Even a lot of people, when you look at Twitter and examine the people who are Ghanaians, when you examine on their Twitter threads, they say that this is he did not think this thing through, and he has to have right advisors. Who are the advisors who advise him to speak, in this manner? And you have rightly actually mentioned it. He is not the chairperson of ECOWAS currently. So where he gets the audacity to speak on behalf of ECOWAS, that is another problem, because the chairperson of ECOWAS is the one who should have spoken, for ECOWAS. And in fact, the chairperson of the African Union is the one who supersedes all of them. He is the one who was supposed to speak for, for all of us as Africans. And we already had spoken for ourselves, and we had our agenda. The chairperson put out 6 points which the African Union, the Africans want from the United States, expect from the United States, and those are some of the things which we will come back to update on when we are doing our overview of the whole U.S. Africa Summit 2022. So I will not mention that just for the interest of time. But I think that he is weakening the institutions, not only the whole continent, even in his country. These actions, these selfish, actions, whatever is driving him, they are weakening the continent, they are weakening the region, and they are weakening the institution, the security architecture, the security infrastructure in Ghana as a state. And as a people, I don't know whether he has low self-esteem, that he thinks that 1,000 Americans can be able to protect the region versus the whole, 10,000s of military men, young people, in the Ghana Armed Forces. And then the whole military of the region, the whole military forces of the region combined, that it cannot protect, and a few thousand Americans are the ones who can protect. That becomes unfortunate. I mean, this means you are looking down on your own people as not capable. You are destroying your own institutions, and this, like we said, becomes unfortunate. It is a very, very unfortunate situation. What I can say in addition is that the United States, wherever it has gone, it has left chaos. So what I can predict is that if you allow the United States to involve in your country, expect chaos. The chaos was not brought by Wagner and Russia in the region. The chaos was brought by the actions of the United States and its colonial allies and its exploitative allies, and that is France and the whole of Europe. You can add Canada and all those guys, because they worked together to undermine the security on the African continent, the security in Libya. That is what opened the gate. So if Akufo-Addo wants to blame someone for bringing insecurity in the region, he should blame the United States, because it is the one which opened the gates for insecurity. The moment Libya was overthrown, that is when jihadists moved all over the continent. We have been saying this. They moved all over the Sahel, Mali. They moved to Burkina Faso, started killing people. Some of them even went as far as Ivory Coast. And now they are way down, these jihadists, way up to Mozambique. And this is the strategy of the United States, to destabilize the region, to claim that Africa needs security. And we have an individual like this falling in this trap and trying to use, the people. So to use us as a people, as a continent. So the implications for the ECOWAS region is that you can see that there might be a lot of instability in the region with these actions and the reliance on external forces, which we know these forces, the external forces, do not have the interest of the African people. So we can expect, further problems if we don't solve, our issues as Africans with African solutions and banding together. We have spoken, consistently about the formation of an African high command, an African, military high command, so that we can have one force on the African continent to take care of our security issues. We do not need to invite foreign forces on the African continent. Our own African high command, to which each of the African countries contributes troops, is enough to have maybe 2 million military men on the continent to protect our continent. We do not need the United States to come. We do not need Europe to come. We can take care of this situation. And this is only if we put trust in the African Union, we put trust in our institutions, which are, consistently mentioned by the same people who are governing. And they are constantly talking about institutions, the importance of institutions. So the security institution in Africa has to be respected. And we have to build it, brick by ourselves. And we don't need, like we mentioned, Ethiopia has done it. It has been able to protect its own country and stabilize it. So we don't need to protect, to invite foreign forces from outside and who we know they have interests in Africa and exploitative interests. So they will not be, interested in protecting the continent, but rather exploiting, the weaknesses in the continent, exploiting the resources and enriching themselves. So this is what I see that these are the implications in the ECOWAS region.
Thank you, Kwame, for that. I just couldn't help me with this to understand, and me and the audience. But before that, before I move to the next question, let me read some of the comments. I just want to give greeting shout outs to Nakrabatsi, Ciendes, Ankoma, Jade. We have audiences from all over the world, even as far as from Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, from New York. Thank you, really. And of course, from home, from the continent. There was somebody who posed an important question. This one seems with our discussion. If you invite Russians, then you are not pushing. If you invite, I think maybe he meant the U.S., then you are not pushing foreigners out. Then Batsy, he or she made a correction that with Eritrea they have a charger d'affaires. I think I very good. Thank you. I accept the correction. But yeah, U.S. refused to have the footprint of to give a base for AFRICOM, and of course, which Eritrea is paying a huge price, which I think one of a pride for that. Now, help us to understand why on earth, such video, such conversation has to be open to a public or leaked out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to know, the status or the level, the arrogance and the ignorance level of our leaders. But how come it is out there? Do you think it's a leaked video, a purposely leaked video? I mean, this is even in defense of President Akufo-Addo. Do you think it's a purposely leaked video? And if so, what is the U.S. interest in Ghana, actually?
Yeah, so I also when it was leaked, it was shocking. It was really shocking because I couldn't believe that this was coming like from an African, like someone like out open in the air, like to come and invite a foreign force like open in the air and then snitch, because this is what is called snitching. Snitch on your own brother, and what I think is it is not that Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo of Ghana doesn't know that we are being exploited as a people. I really don't think he doesn't know. And I don't think he doesn't know that the United States has caused the chaos in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria, and he caused the chaos in Libya. I really don't think he doesn't know that. I really don't think he doesn't know. And I really don't think he doesn't know that they are exploiting our resources and stealing from us. But what I suspect is that there's a possibility, because of the rejection, the United States has faced a lot of rejection on the continent. We've spoken about the settlement that was reached, in South Africa and Pretoria, whereby the issue in the conflict or the mutiny and rebellion in northern Ethiopia was solved. It tried so much. The United States has been trying so much to insert itself in positions where it is not wanted, where the Africans don't want it. the Africans have rejected it. And when we go to the United Nations, the Africans showed that they have rejected it. And these are the concerns. So there's a possibility that the United States is trying to show that it also has allies on the continent. There's that possibility. You see, because of the rejection, there's no African country that has come out blatantly, as you have seen all over the continent. Majority of them, they have not come out blatantly to express their support for the United States. So there's a possibility that they want to show the world that they have some support on the African continent. And number two is that they may want to overstate their achievement, the achievements of the U.S. Africa Summit. That is the point number two that I'm seeing here. Because when you look at Blinken during his press conference, the last press conference which he gave today, as a summation, as a summary of what he achieved, he was overstating a lot of things which they achieved through this. So I believe that this is part of it. They are inviting themselves, because he mentioned even the issue of Ethiopia. He mentioned the efforts they are making in the Democratic Republic of Congo, that the United States played a very big role. The United States did not play a role in the conflict, in settling the issue of the conflict in Ethiopia. It is the African Union which played a role. So he was overstating, and even in the Congo, is the East African community and the African Union which are leading this initiative. So there is a tendency for the United States, to overstate what it has achieved with this conference. So then it is showing that, you can see we also have allies on the continent, even though Russia has allies, even though the people are rejecting France. So actually it wants to take over the positions where France, like if you go back to the 1960s when we were getting independence, the United States, Nkrumah was mentioning and warning us that the United States is trying to take the position of Britain and take the colonies which were belonging to Britain. And so this also is a possibility. This is what we are also seeing. That because people in Burkina, Mali, Guinea, Guinea, Conakry, all these people continuously, even Guinea, Bissau, where you say there is President Sissoko Embalo, people were attempting to reject that president. The United States wants to come and take over where France has been rejected. So that is point number three, which I'm seeing also in this situation. So when I look, these are the things which I'm seeing. But this, even with this incursion of the United States, it doesn't mean that Africans are not doing well. I think that we are trying very well, and the tectonic shift in the geopolitical landscape also are in our favor. That the power which China has gained, the power which Russia has also gained, it has become a threat, and they have decided to come and tussle it out on the African continent. But we also have to be alert. I think that we have our spirits are also strong, but we also have enough governments on the African continent which have resisted. And so we as African people and African civil society, I think we also need to mobilize our consciousness and identify these governments and stand behind them and support them. So this is what I'm seeing, but the United States is attempting to show that it also has allies, and is overstating, is trying to overstate its achievements. And people like him, the $3 billion which was given to him, so is willing to sell out the whole continent, sell out our narrative, sell out the whole narrative of the continent. And I believe that going forward is likely that even a lot of leaders on the African continent, they may isolate him. That is what I'm seeing. They may isolate Akufo-Addo and until the next president comes to Ghana, and that is the president they will be able to re-engage very well with on the continent. So the next president in Ghana actually may have to rehabilitate Ghana's image in the eyes of the African continent and the other African leaders.
Interesting. I think you have my last question. You kind of have covered it. I was an interesting event, which I call a paradox for Ghana, or a double standard, is that while it is talking about, telling blatantly African leaders to stop begging, on the other hand, he himself has just signed a 3 billion US dollar loan from IMF, as you said, which is, of course, headquartered in the US. So, if there is, I was going to ask for you to analyze a link for what he said in this bilateral meeting and the loan, and then the security concern, of course, his mention of Ukraine. Also, he mentioned, again, he called Russia, in that statement. You have kind of said it, but if there is anything that you think is missing, you may go ahead and give us. Our meeting for today really concerned on this statement. It's on a short notice. We all prepared this to bring it to you. If there's anything missing or that needs to be highlighted, please, Kwame, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Malet. So as we have said and analyzed, our purpose here is not to indict anyone or as a president or attack anyone, but rather our purpose here is to bring to you the audience, is for you to judge, okay? Because what we want on this continent is to have a conversation. And we have said repeatedly that we are not only Ghanaians, or we are not only Ugandans or Kenyans or South Africans, but we are Africans. And our forefather, the vision of our forefathers was to make Africa strong, independent, and proud, as a proud people, to be able to contribute to world peace. And we cannot contribute to world peace if we keep our continent fragmented and we keep dividing it. And also we keep praising people. When we are making progress, they keep coming back to destroy and dismantle that progress. So we cannot praise those people. We have to point them out. We have to be a courageous people and point out those unfortunate situations when they arise. And we have to call out to these individuals, whether they are president, whether they are what. Because like we said, the African Union took a position of non-alignment, and we want to work with we want to work with the United States. We want to work with China. We want to work with Russia. We want to work with India, Brazil. We want to work with everyone, Turkey. We want to work with the Arabs in the Middle East. We don't want the United States to bring its problems on the African continent. We want the United States to deal with its problems at home. At home. Do not bring your problems on the African continent. You have brought us enough problems in the past. In the 1960s, you brought your problem. The deflection of its problems and bring them and deflect the attention of its people, the homelessness, the income inequality. We are saying that the United States should not bring these problems. And it is the African leaders who have to stand together to do this. So if any individual wants to allow the United States to deflect the attention of its people and deflect its problems and bring them on the African continent, I think that individual needs to be called out. That such an individual needs to be brought to order, and by all of us as Africans, because our interest and our future and our hope and aspirations are all interlinked as African people. So that is what we wanted to achieve with this analysis. So you are out there as Africans all over the continent, across the world. You need to come and support Connect Africa. We have a lot of other projects that we are working on of integrating the African people. the Pan-Africanism and the progressive African, government, so that we can all work together. And that is the work which we are doing as Connecting Africa with other Pan-African organizations. So you come out there and support us. We have some petitions which are running, across. You can Google them. We have petitions on unifying Africa. We have petitions on a single passport. We have petitions on a single military. All these, we are pushing them as far as, working with the African Union and working with people like PLO Lumumba. So all these are our partners, and come and support us. The more you support us, the more we will be also energized and confident to continue doing the work and continue to fight for our continent and our people as a whole, across all the globe, because all people of African descent belong to the African nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kwame. Wonderful, a very good closing, very important message that we are not here to attack anyone, but our job or duty rather is to bring that Pan-African perspective to what's happening pertaining to Africa and its people at home and its people abroad. That's our job, that's our duty, to shed light on what's happening so that you don't consume what's presented to you by the mainstream media. That's why Kwame is saying support, spread the word. If you like what you get in the information, the knowledge that you get from here, if you like it, then please spread the word to your network. That way we can reach out as much as possible. Definitely we will put those links on the comment section that Kwame said, the links those for 3 kinds of petition, and then please sign them, read them through, and then share it to your network as well. We will bring you every week on Thursday topical issues of the continent, but sometimes, for example, this week we have been 2 or 3 times. Whenever there is an important thing, we come and share. With that being said, I would like to really give a shout out here to the Ethiopian World Federation. It's established by Dr. Malaku Bayan. We hear you. He says the U.S. cannot, he or she, I don't know, but the U.S. cannot even stop killing Black people and it's breaking up our families. They don't deserve Africa. The U.S. should not try to run things in Africa without supporting the diaspora building there. Please, I think I advise you to contact, there's an organization founded by Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Chiombori called the African Diaspora Development Institute. Please contact them, check them out, their website. And then the United States always gets to meet with African leaders. Again, the same Ethiopian World Federation is commenting with Africa leaders. Meanwhile, the Africans in America never set foot on the continent. I say, please organize, mobilize, and come through. Try. I think there are many African countries that will embrace you. That's it for us for today. Thank you very much. So Madonna, Sister Madonna, I can say, I hope I said it right. Greetings to you. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend as well. Thank you for being here, for your time, and for your support. Bye-bye.